They say a 4-star general can survive anything. War, loss, the weight of an entire nation resting on their shoulders. But no one ever taught General Serena Cole how to survive silence. The kind that follows after the world turns its back on you. The kind that steals your breath, your purpose, your name. But on the darkest night of her life, when her medals meant nothing and her future felt already buried, a janitor with tired eyes and a single father's smile walked into the hallway she'd chosen to disappear in. And with just a few quiet words no one else had dared to say, he pulled her back from the edge in seconds. This is the story of how a woman who'd commanded armies lost everything. And how an ordinary man named Thomas Reed rebuilt what no battlefield ever could, her hope. General Serena Cole had once been untouchable. Decorated, respected, almost mythic in the eyes of younger soldiers. She carried herself with the fierce confidence of someone who had spent a lifetime winning battles both seen and unseen. But power is fragile. One mistake, one brief, devastating lapse in judgment, can crack even the strongest armor. For Serena, it wasn't a battlefield mistake. It was an accusation. A mission gone wrong overseas. A civilian casualty no one saw coming. A split-second decision she made to protect her unit, now twisted by media headlines into something monstrous. Investigations swallowed her days. Suspensions stole her nights. And the military she'd given her entire life to suddenly looked at her like she was a stranger. The final blow came in a cold, echoing office. Her demotion, followed by immediate forced retirement. No handshake. No ceremony. No thank you for 3 decades of service. Just a signature on a paper that erased her entire identity. She left the base with an empty box and a heart so heavy it barely fit inside her chest. Weeks passed, and the world felt smaller. She avoided old friends. Ignored messages. Her apartment grew silent, the kind of silence that feels alive, like it's waiting, watching, pressing in from every wall. The medals on her shelf were the only proof she hadn't imagined her own life. One rainy night, unable to sleep, she wandered into the old community center she used to visit for charity events, now nearly abandoned. She sat in the dim hallway, back against the wall, staring at nothing. That was the night Thomas Reed found her. He was just finishing his late shift, worn boots, faded uniform with a janitor's patch, hair messy from a long day. He had a quiet exhaustion about him, the kind single parents wore like an invisible coat. He nearly passed her by. But Serena's eyes caught his, red, tired, full of a pain she wasn't hiding anymore. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked softly. She almost didn't answer. No one had asked her that in weeks. Not sincerely, not without suspicion or pity. "I don't know," she whispered. Thomas didn't pry. He didn't posture or lecture. He simply sat down on the floor across from her, leaving a respectful distance, as though they were two strangers waiting for the same bus. "You look like someone who's been holding her breath for a long time," he said. Serena blinked, stunned by the honesty. His daughter, a little girl with curly hair and a backpack too big for her, peeked from around the corner. "Daddy, can we go home?" "Almost, sweetheart," he said gently. Then he turned back to Serena. "Whatever it is, you don't have to drown in it alone." It was such a simple thing. A stranger acknowledging her humanity. A father reminding her without judgment that people still cared, even if they didn't know her. And in that moment, something cracked inside Serena. Not in a breaking way. In a healing way. That was how it began. The night the general lost her pride, her armor, and maybe for the first time in her life, spoke to someone as just a woman who needed help. Serena didn't expect to see Thomas again. But life has a strange way of crossing paths on purpose. 2 days later, she returned to the community center, searching for something she couldn't name. Maybe distraction, maybe connection. Thomas was there again, sweeping the lobby floor while his daughter colored on a plastic chair beside him. "Back again?" he asked, a soft surprise in his voice. "I guess I needed somewhere quiet," Serena replied. "No shame in that. Quiet places help people think." He paused. "Or breathe." She let out a faint, almost embarrassed laugh. It had been a long time since someone made her laugh without trying. Thomas introduced his daughter, Lily. She was small, bright, and completely fearless in her curiosity. Are you a superhero? Lily asked Serena with full seriousness. Serena froze. She wasn't used to children. And she certainly wasn't used to being seen as anything but damaged lately. I used to be something like that, she said. To me she looks like a superhero, Lily announced proudly. Serena's chest tightened. Thomas's gentle smile said he understood the weight behind that moment. Over the next weeks, Serena found herself visiting the center more often. Sometimes she talked. Sometimes she cried, quietly, letting the truth spill out piece by painful piece. And Thomas, always steady, always patient, listened without judgment. She learned he had once dreamed of being an engineer before life rerouted him through tragedy. His wife passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him to raise Lily alone. Money was tight. Dreams had to wait. We've all lost something, he said one night as they walked to the parking lot. But losing everything doesn't mean you're done. It just means you're starting over with nothing weighing you down. His words struck her deeper than any medal ceremony ever had. With Thomas's quiet encouragement, Serena attended her first appeal hearing. She walked in terrified, but not alone, not really, because someone finally believed her again. And when she stepped out of the courtroom, exhausted but hopeful, Thomas and Lily were waiting by the doors with paper cups of hot chocolate. For courage, Lily said, handing Serena a cup. Serena didn't cry often, but she did then. Because for the first time since the scandal broke, she didn't feel like a disgraced soldier. She felt like a person worth standing beside. She wasn't healed yet. Not fully. But she was no longer sinking. She was learning, slowly, painfully, that even generals need saving sometimes. And sometimes the person who saves you isn't a commander, a politician, or a hero in uniform. Sometimes it's a janitor with tired eyes. Sometimes it's a child with a kind heart. Sometimes it's a stranger who sees who you are even when the world refuses to. Their story was only beginning. Because Serena was about to discover that the path back to herself would lead her somewhere she never expected.